I'm Sekia. I play Flash Initiator for YPX, and I think the strongest thing about what I bring to the team is my mid-rounding ability. I'm pretty strong in that. Next teammate, we got Kurosu, and Kurosu is our Sentinel player, and they bring the experience that we need as of being on Misfits Black before and other pretty notable teams over Kill Black. Next is our IGL Kazler, and Kazler is kind of our flex, kind of just plays whatever the team needs, and their IGLing is really good, I think, and they have really good leadership in our team, and it helps us out. Raven, she's our controller player, and she is mechanically probably our best player in my opinion, and I think she brings just the clutch factor that you need in a team. Finally, we have Neko Aimer, who is our duelist, and she has the firepower that you want in a duelist, and she's just awesome. Probably the lowest point in our team was probably in the most recent open qualifier in the group stage when we lost against Teddy Tactics. We weren't really expecting to lose that game, and it kind of was a wake-up call to better up our comms because we weren't playing at our best, and we knew we weren't. So we just kind of ironed out and just were we need to do better. We can do better, so let's do better. And it really helped us bounce back and be able to win out throughout the playoffs once we got out of groups. I think it kind of just settled with us and kind of were yeah, we shouldn't be losing, and we know we're better than this, you know. So we kind of just used it as motivation to do better because we know we could. My ultimate goal as a player is to just be the best. You know, I see Game Changers as a stepping stool to getting to the higher leagues, so I want to win out in Game Changers and then eventually get to Challengers and be able to compete at a higher level there and just go as far as I can. My favorite my favorite strat that we have is Cocaine Crunch, and we play this on Sunset, and it's really fun. We just we crunch outside of B main through mid and B main, and it's so fun. Oh, well, I guess it's kind of a superstition, you could say. So Kazler, between each match, changes their pants. They're pajama pants, and they have to wear new pajama pants each match. I don't know. That's my question. How many pairs of pajama pants does she have? Future of Game Changers, I do wish to see more support for it from Riot and more publicity for it, and just more attention brought to the scene. And I also hope to see that the main events will have LANs eventually and be able to have more opportunities to be broadcasted so everyone can be able to watch and know about it.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Verizon Game Changers. We just got to hear a little bit from that next match that's coming up. The first one between Shopify went by so fast, but the second one that we have right now is YFP, and we just got the chance to talk and hear about Sekia, talking about how every single player interacts in this team, but they have a tough match today, Mimi, and it's going to be against FlyQuest.
Yeah, they do, but I've also learned more in that video about a player than any other video I've ever seen. She's got every anime on the wall. She's got the Ramune bottles in the back. She's got some point shoes. I understand her entire personality now. I want to be her friend, but she has a tough match today. And this YFP roster is up against one of the Titans here, who we were power ranking as our second best team coming into the event Ball. But YFP is a roster that the org's been around for a while, but this one is a new build who I think came out and impressed in the open qualifiers.
Yeah, and they've been playing a bunch of tournaments for a while here. So again, one of those rosters that has potential to be one of the longer ones here in this GC main event. Kurosu, somebody who stands out to me quite frequently in ranked games and all sorts of other things too. This team, yeah, I think underrated in terms of the names on this list. You're not going to get the mixed teams from mixed players from top teams of former Game Changers that you might see on some of the other new rosters. This one is just straight up talent grown through the open circuit. So we're gonna take a look and see if they can really challenge FlyQuest. They played them before. They played them slightly close in a finals for one of the third-party tournaments, and you also saw them get to the point to play Passion Project, who again another top team in the open qualifier. And fared decently still in a 2-0. This is going to be their biggest challenge here, and fortunately for them, it's early in this tournament that they get tested, and they're going to be able to kind of the same thing that I said about the Shopify game, right? Like, you get to see exactly where you stand and get that experience before going up against other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And for this YFP squad, well, it didn't go fully their way against Passion Project. They had, honestly, a pretty dominant run throughout the rest of this. Even against other top 8 teams. Against Infinity X, it was an absolutely dominant game there. When watching this team, I feel like the biggest things I walk away with is that they play, for the most part, pretty meta comps. They play sometimes a little wilder stuff, like they bring out a Yoruan bind, which is pretty cool. But I feel like they have good synergy, good understanding of how they want to play these compositions, and have some pretty strong individual players. They're a squad who I think has a lot of kind of upward mobility in like the middle of the pack rankings for this Game Changers, but obviously this first match is going to be a lot to ask about them, because this new FlyQuest roster is really exciting.
And talking about rankings, I was watching the rankings that you guys did earlier today, and I actually saw that you guys put FlyQuest second, or actually third instead of second. Yeah. I get it. I understand that it was close matches. Shopify, for example, losing one of those maps, and FlyQuest kind of right in between. But I have to put them second to me. When you look at this roster, this is a roster that is very exciting. You saw a couple of the players internationally just last year, and it's a perfect combination to me. If I were to highlight 2 players that I think are going to be a big difference, I mean, it's got to be kind of everybody. But to me, Lace has a little bit of experience IGLing, though she's not going to be the IGL for this team of FlyQuest. And instead going to be Thea, who was IGLing for Evil Geniuses. So I'm really interested in seeing how that communication between the two is going to work out. Yeah.
I am too. I just have to say, I can't believe a host disagreed with our power rankings live on the show. I think that is so BM, and yeah.
No, I actually, Ball, I just wanted to put it out there that ever since you put FlyQuest, Past Project above FlyQuest, I've been resenting you the entire rest of the show.
What?
Wow.
Why would you do that? We were having a nice discussion about it.
No. It's just been bubbling up, and I had to let that out. Anyways, okay, well, FlyQuest Red.
I'm glad you speak your feelings out.
Thank you. We're living our truths today.
You're being honest.
That's the plural of truth, famously. But FlyQuest Red, yeah, this roster is kind of a new build. You're smashing together 2 of the rosters who were popping off last year, and what really kind of strikes me is the leadership of this squad coming from EG, Coach Jovi, and Thea. They obviously went on that run, making it to GC champs, and even beating Shopify for the first time anyone's been able to do that in the finals of a Game Changers. I think that those 2 have really proven an ability to put together strong teams, and I think that Jovi as a coach, the read on the meta that he brought to EG, being ahead on a lot of comps last year, playing some interesting stuff, I'm really hopeful that that'll translate to this new FlyQuest, going into a new meta as well. They really are the team for me that is super exciting. If there was to be a competitor to Shopify, if a team could get close in this Game Changers, for my money, it would be this squad.
For sure. That is exactly what I was thinking when I got the chance to look at the team a little bit, and especially with the amount of matches that they got to play. It was 12 matches total that they played that we haven't seen, because the main event, this is the first day, right? But it seems like it's all going to come down to how those maps are going to look like today as we get to jump into that map select. And Mimi, we were talking a little bit about the compositions, like a little bit of variety. Now that you see these 3 maps split, Ascend and Sunset, is there creativity, especially for the first 2?
Oh, it depends on what you define creativity. The first 2, probably not. They're going to be playing the default Descent comp for FlyQuest. On Split, though, they were playing a double initiator comp. A lot of teams recently have been favoring the Omen Viper double controller comps, even with the new meta change. But I've always had a soft spot for those Breach Fade kind of compositions, and that's exactly what they run. They build a lot around their Star Duelists in Dodo Nut, so it might be a little different than, say, what you were watching in some of the kickoff tournaments, but it's nothing crazy out of the ordinary for Fly.
Yeah, I'm super interested to see how it, goes forward here in the month off that they've basically had, right? What new stuff have they developed? What have they decided about the meta, right? We saw some big decisions made from SMG in the last one, but here, FlyQuest, again, you talk a lot about Coach Jovi. I think he has different tools to work with at his disposal. Last year, he had 2 very, very star players standouts. I think maybe this, from the best player on this team, like maybe you don't have that same level, but I think overall the individual skill of this team from, the EG to this, I think has increased. So you have Sonder, you have Lace, you have Dodonut, who can really, I think, make these flexible choices in terms of compositions that I'm very curious to see what the decision here is from Jovi, somebody who I think a lot of people respect in this scene.
And for good reason. You also mentioned some of the players kind of switching into different roles and having very different tools from EG last year. Saunders the best example of that, who's going over and now playing mostly Flash Initiator and kind of flexing around a lot more on this roster, which I think is a really interesting move for her. We've seen in the past a lot of star duelists have successful conversions to that role, and we got to see a little bit of it, a little taste in the open qualifiers, but I'm really interested to see how she's playing on that role now in the main event as well.
Especially because we've seen the growth for Dodo for the past 2 years, right? When we saw Dodo right at the beginning, it was that Raze player going insane, finding some kills, finding the openings for the team, and now it seems like she has the rest of the team to really back her up and to have more flexibility to go into potentially something else. So I think the possibility for even what I was talking about, that creativity is there. But I wouldn't be surprised if this match goes all the way to the 3 maps, all the way to Sunset, which is where you're maybe is going to see the most changes, the more diversity with the new patch that they're playing. But it seems like it's going to come down to those agents, and with that first map being split, there's been kind of different thoughts about it, right? Last year we thought about the double duelist, how important it was, and with Dodo and that race, I can't let it go. I think we're gonna see a little bit more of that, Vala.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think this is a map that a lot of teams also fall back on to comfort. We saw that a lot in the main circuit. We might see it here again, depending on how they open here. This is the opening match, so there is room for experimentation. I think on the YFP side too, I'm thinking a lot about how they're gonna play and game plan against this FlyQuest squad, right? This is a team I think that relies and thrives on really good fundamentals and team play, and I think that is literally the best thing possible to rely on when you go up against more experienced teams.
Yeah, and the agent select now, it looks like these teams are, going to the meta comp pretty much.
Yep.
We've seen everyone running. I was applauding like, oh, they're flying the Breach Fade. I really like that comp, but no. Everyone has really been going for this double controller composition and the Solo Sky.
Rant about Solo Sky.
Rant about Solo Sky? I can rant about Solo Sky because I think that you lose out on a lot of the tools that Double Initiator gets you, but if you're gonna play a solo initiator comp, I still think she's the best solo initiator in the game. If you're playing just one agent and you can't have those synergies, I still think Sky is good. You just have to be very cautious of how you're using the utility. And the reason you make that trade-off is because double controller is just so strong. You get conditioning on the attack by being able to constantly have these Viper walls up, have different ideas into the late round. On defense, it makes your stall a lot easier. I understand why teams pick this, even if I would love some more variety sometimes.
Now that is fantastic, Cope. Yeah, I think this is exactly the sort of thing that is good to experiment with and to play. Like this is kind of becoming a very standard comp right now here on Split. I think it relies, especially with the Sky nerfs, a lot on being proactive around the map, though. You're seeing a lot of teams re-clear B main without a Sky, without the dog, without anything. Same thing on A main, trying to catch those lurkers, trying to get a little bit more information because, like you heard in the video from Sekia, it's all about mid-rounding.
Yeah. And that is going to be the most interesting thing to me, especially because there's a lot of pressure, right? We talk a lot about the experience that the side of FlyQuest has as individuals in different teams throughout the years, but for YFP, that is going to be the expectation, especially now that you get to see Neko Aimer on that race, how it's going to match up with Dodo, how it's going to be the being proactive, the finding an answer, which is, I feel like, something that teams, when you're not in that top 3 for Game Changers, are missing, right? How is that mid-rounding going to work? How is that the aggression going to come through for a couple of those rounds? And maybe it can come down to that, not only for this map, but to see if this series is going to go all the way.
Yeah, it absolutely can. I think this is going to be a tough task to take this one to 3 maps, to take it to Sunset for YFP. But this roster has shown promise. You're up against a FlyQuest who I'm giving them a lot of credit for the names you have on this roster, but you can't forget that this this isn't a team that's fully established at the top level just yet, right? They're still in the early phases of a team, right? They've only recently fully come together. There was just big patch changes. They're still in that phase where they're learning and figuring stuff out, with this being their first full game changers with this squad. So there definitely is potential for an upset. I just think it's pretty unlikely.
I would say though, like, this is a team with history of, you know, very short stints of practice, being able to like come up with some.
I mean, when EG went on that run, they had like what, 2 weeks of practice? Yeah, something ridiculous.
Thea iGelling for the first time. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not exactly
fair.
It's not that team. However, there's a lot of pieces I think that make a lot of sense together, right? Most of the EG pieces, for example, and then Gonder coming in with Lace, I think, as well, is a very interesting one too, where there's experience there for both players. So yeah, it's interesting. Well, the amount of time that teams have had to prep. I think for Game Changers, right, you almost never get this level of time between the open qualifiers and the main event here. So, right, you're looking at footage for some of these teams that is weeks old, that they haven't had any other time to play anything else. So this is very tough to game plan against, and that's why I think it's going to come down again to that mid-rounding, especially on this map. Yeah,
I mean, there's a chance though. Like, what if Kazler just happens to find the perfect lucky pajama pants for this match?
That's
the
true.
Ones unique to this game.
What is that tradition? Like,
that was a crazy tradition.
That's awesome.
If they go on a run, Kazler's just gonna lose all the prize money to having to just like run to the store every night and get a new pair. Like, oh no, guys, we got another game. Got to run it back.
Imagine a lower bracket run. It's oh my goodness.
Day after day.
I mean, think about it, actually, because all the matches that they play, it was 11 matches that they have to play, so they have at least 11.
She had 11 pants just for the OQ, and now needs minimum 2 more for the main event, if not more, if they go on a run.
I mean, I don't know if they're streaming, but if they are, you know, go against that support, because there might be some extra pounds to be needed. There is a chance here. I want to say there's actually a solid chance, but when you see the names, it doesn't make it as easy. And just to go back a little bit on FlyQuest and what we've seen from them, one thing that I find really interesting is, yeah, I know they're not facing Shopify just yet. They did in the open qualifiers, but something that makes them, to me, the top 2 instead of the top 3 that you guys were talking about, is that if you think about it, it was Evil Geniuses that took down Shopify last year, and the complexity that has made it top 3 with Lays. It is also Sunder that has made it really far, has gotten the chance to also be that Cloud9 2 years ago. So it is at least 4 players on the FlyQuest roster that have and proven the potential in the past to be the best. So how do those pieces match? I think it really starts, and is going to start probably, to me, really slow. Everybody kind of coming together with Jovi having that support on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think when you talk about that pedigree from the roster, right, a lot of times that can be really good in terms of experience, especially if the mindset is right. But for some teams, the pitfall is we need to beat Shopify when that's not even on the cards right now, right? So I know a lot of fans are thinking about that. Who's the team who's going to be able to challenge? But you have to be reserved in terms of going through this bracket. You have to be taking it one step at a time.
And it seems like you're ready for that map number 1 of Split, and I'm so excited to send it to the casters. You know it's a good duo because they rhyme. It is Vansily and Lemon Kiwi.
I just realized we rhyme. I'm trying to come up with our duo name right now. Lemon Silly was thrown out there.
Oh, Lemon Silly's good. Van Kiwi, I don't know. Something's good.
Put my thinking cap on. Oh, we switched. Oh, I had a cool hat for you. It said Canada on it.
You're catching me off guard. I was getting ready to wear some kind of hat. I don't know. I got a bunch of stuff around me too on my PC. But yeah, I'm actually very looking forward to this game. Looking forward to casting with you as well, Lemon Kiwi. Welcome to Valorant. FlyQuest Red versus YFP. This is going to be a very fun game to start things off, though, as looks like we're already ready to go, actually. So didn't even really give us too much time to talk about the comps or the changes coming through, but I do like the idea that you're going back to the tried and true with this single duelist and putting some importance into the Sentinel, especially when you're looking at, YFP. The last time they played against, the Passion Project, they had a lot of issues against Unstable on the op, so I'm liking that you have a Sky in here to actually help a little bit as they're looking to default on the attack. to take a little bit of a mid control. You have those controllers still trying to do holding those pushes, making sure that nothing's really happening on the extremities. And while on the defense, you're just cycling the smokes. Looks like YFP is looking to lean towards the A site where it's a little bit more passive, right? The active information is coming out from Starbound, and you're just waiting for the re-hit to happen.
My eyes are down.
All right, some intel from YFP now, heading over to A. See that sentinel at the back of FlyQuest, just waiting for backup. Not wanting to take any early engagements unless you hit a headshot like that. Great start from Starbound, and the second one. The spike is down and at an awkward spot for YFP to recover. This is collapsing right on entry.
Yeah, so well done. I mean, that's the beauty of having that sentinel in the role in your position right now on defense. Something that they didn't use last time too much with Kurosu. So that's well done for them to get that passive information, at least for Starbound, and to start things off quite well here for FlyQuest. Even there's not even going to be a plant that's going to go down. A great way to kick things off into the top 8. I guess they talked about it at the desk as well, right? This is almost a brand new roster for FlyQuest, and both of these teams between FlyQuest and YFP, or like on the come up, on the build up. YFP have been having a lot of difficulties qualifying into the main event, and now they finally do. They still have to face against some heavy opposition. I mean, even like at Starbound, based off the information that they're getting off the camera, the way that they're able to dance around the elbow as well, that's the thing they're going to have to do for YFP. If you're going to try to go for these executions, you have to try to get these anchored players out of their spots. And on an eco, adding a lot of pressure, waiting for this swing through the wall potential as Thea runs away from the Spectre.
Yeah, you know someone is knocking over at the B site. So Thea is looking for anything, any contact, and now everyone's screaming at each other on the other side of that smoke. Kind of like that meme with the two dogs, they barking. And once you open up that smoke, everyone's not going to talk to each other. But now mid is being explored by YFP. Someone's over here in vents. Sonder has a big engagement and might not get full intel on that flash, but Dodona just spots them crossing the street without looking both ways. Give her the 3K, and FlyQuest 4 versus 1. This round is pretty over.
Yeah, there's still some good flash in a pan though, from what I'm seeing from YFP's adjustments on the fly. That is, no pun intended, against FlyQuest. When they saw that flash come out from Sonder out through the smoke, they're like, okay, it's not gonna really hit us in the back. We could try to get the timing and go for a quad swing, push out to try to surprise an opponent towards the vents. And as they did that, they tried to run across, but unfortunately didn't really cross over to look at Dodonut on the top of B Heaven, and she had free reigns to get those couple of kills. But that slight adjustments, if Kazler could, add a smoke into Mail, that could have been very dangerous against FlyQuest. So just little things that you have to adjust as you go. But thankfully this time they have weapons to work with, and if they still want to work towards this mid side, which is basically the grandiose way of playing split at this point, is to look for that mid control. Hopefully they'll have that that extra communication to work that vent to try to take down Dodonut right here.
Boombot over in vents and under a lot of duress. It's the first kill for Neko. His friends look to clear mid, but a lot of crossfire and a judge, or at least a shotgun to the face, I should say.
Yeah.
Neko gets traded out, so good stabilization from FlyQuest. Now they've cleared out mid. And Kazler here just lurking around, being a lot more quiet, seeing how they want to react to this trade out. Do they still want to commit to mid? Now that they're healed up, I think about what's next.
Yeah. I mean, it's at the mid market, so I play the midway. I love, at least for FlyQuest, they want to play that pressure. Hey, we're getting pressure, we're going to pressure back. They crunched in towards that mid side, and once it calms down, they hold back within the extremities, thinking that they could let YFP take control of these B, having it split towards this B side. But it's still a two-player anchor there, as Thea unfortunately falls down, so Lace has to anchor solo.
Oh, big trades. YFP need this round. Plant initiated, but Sonder keeps the round alive. 2 versus 2. This FlyQuest, time not on their side, and Sonder continues to get these picks. You know exactly where she is. And FlyQuest get the third one on the board.
Good position in the end. 2v2, you can't really know where YFP is really coming from. You're looking at the regular spots, but they did a great job. As we mentioned before for FlyQuest, putting those smokes towards main. Lace, yes, only got one for her troubles by anchoring towards the back of that B site, but they both delayed long enough for that rotate to happen. And that was the story of the game at the beginning of the round too. You had that plan from YFP to take that mid control. Instead of the vents that I was talking about, they were trying to take mail. So they did the regular smokes and whatnot, but they didn't put into account that FlyQuest are very confident to be able to swing out and trade, and they don't mind losing bodies in the process. So YFP, despite the first drop that they had, the first casualty, that other smoke that was thrown on the defensive side is just too difficult for them to try to trade back instantly. So FlyQuest, they win the bonus. They're very strong in this round. YFP, I like that we have Sheriffs all across the board. Starbound has the same camera. They have to get rid of this right now. And I love that it's actually Caruso first. As I say that, as spam goes through the cages to get the kill, because that could have just been a sign that, hey, it's probably still just one player moving up towards the camera, the same lurk coming out from Caruso, and then he might have a surprise on this battle on the A site. But look at the readjustment. After that first kill, doubling up and fighting. I love that FlyQuest is fighting.
Yeah, and YFP are still trying to commit to that A side, and they had 2 lurkers over at B, but they got stopped by smoke, so not much progress there, and 3 versus 3. And it's just not going the way of YFP trying to entry through heaven. Great double kill by Thea. And it's all left to Sekia. Good shot in the back there, and FlyQuest are on a roll.
Definitely would have been a different story, though, if YFP had rifles on that pivot in the mid-round, because, as I've mentioned, I like that FlyQuest are actually fighting towards the A ramp just to make sure that they shut down the A site. But we talk about the mid-rounding, on how quick it is, how they react very quickly on whatever information or teammates that they lose in a process for YFP. They pinch perfectly towards that B site. Theo is out in the open, only with the paranoid to work with, but if they had a better timing on a triple swing in the B site, that was theirs to take. But nonetheless, it was a sheriff round that they had. They did some good damage onto FlyQuest. They're trying to keep the economy low against the defensive side, although that is still quite prominent, as you can see here on this overlay. But YFP, again, another default round, but this time leaning a little bit more with the spike on this left side. They're so close to ults. Trying to push Thea away and getting Seekers for a hard hit might be the opening that they need here to try to get the first round.
YFP able to grab orb. You got some info there, and Thea loves to just throw some bullets down that alleyway just to see what they can get. I'll let you hit somebody. Wonder how FlyQuest are going to react. No one's really pushing ahead. YFP staying nice and quiet now. They have that orb, that spike's thinking about mid, because look who's pushed up. Neko, right on the other side of this smoke. But remember, Donut has been dominating this ramp, got a double or triple kill in the previous round, so YFP gotta expect that the star player from FlyQuest will be around this corner. Now you got the Seekers and YFP ready to jump in. Paint shells at the ready. And Neko with a big 2. Showstopper at the ready. No one home. It'll be all up to Thea to anchor this B site until Starbound gets back. And so far, so good.
Oh, try to TP away. Fortunately picked off. And that will allow for this plant to go down and even have a flank on top of that. Going to be very difficult for Starbound to try to clutch this.
Spike planted.
Nice and quiet. You got the planter, but Spike is still down. Now using this cage to see if they could cross, but maybe thinking someone could be behind them. This pinch is coming in. A big win for Starbound. And using the ult 1 versus 1. You know they're on the right side to be pre-aiming this. Now getting an update, goes for the swing, and Raven helps YFP get on the board.
Love that one. Second ping on the hat, and then instantly goes for a wider swing and a crouch just to make sure that she could get an off angle there against Starbound's push. But Starbound's huge heads-up play to almost win that 1 versus 3. Overall, though, it really came down to how YFP worked together behind those Seekers. I called that the flash was a little bit too far back for Sekia, and it's nice that they actually broke the Seekers on the defensive side onto Sekia's Seekers, which allowed for them to get a better male position. But there's just too many bodies to work with for YFP, and they got some perfect trades in that process. Now, though, trying to get information early. Dodonet's trying to get this orb so they could actually cover up the showstopper for an aggressive retake. So that said, now you can play a little bit more passively and let YFP come towards you and then just blow them up to bits.
Yeah, and Raven changed up the Viper wall too, not setting that up to cross up B main. And that allowed Dodonut to get an orb. Now has the showstopper available. It's a 3-person push, kind of looking around mid. This could be a big showstopper if they decide to pull it out. Here's the dog from Sekia to get info on Vincent jumping out, smacks Sekia in the face. The 1-person advantage now for FlyQuest. They can move around this more confidently. But speaking of which, YFP have set up camp now on the B site. Now wanting to extend past this back site just to see if there's anyone here. The plant is going down, and FlyQuest sprinting in and hosing down YFP right at the door. Now the dog from the defense to see who could be around this corner. YFP still not successful at getting the plant down yet.
Got an ult here too, or they got an ult. Kazler could actually even TP. Shit, they do it, but they lined up instead. Starbound left to go. How did they turn this around for YFP? Doable situation now.
Right, Kazler, that leader that Sekia was talking about, getting the plant down. Maybe hesitated a little too long, and now YFP down significant numbers in what they started with. Raven, Kazler working together. Starbound, Thea holding hands to dance around the center pillar, but Kazler taken down. And Raven, location may be unknown, but wasn't ready for the trade. Good damage into Starbound, and gets the finish onto the 1, but it's FlyQuest now up 5-1.
So now you know, at least for FlyQuest, the fundamentals are still there as well, even though they get, you know, both teams, for me, made a mistake in that round. To go for a tap to try to bait some players out, but go for a double push back into the spawn when Sekia did a great job with the dog to actually bait out the showstopper early. That could have put them in a way better position for a post plant on that B site. But then when you're not really checking towards that right side on the retake for FlyQuest, where Kazler gets his 3K like that, that lineup should have happened. I mean, Starbound almost got picked off at the same time. So when it comes down to a 2v2, you see there, buddy system going in for FlyQuest. They get the swings out, they get the perfect trades, and then they get the victory towards the end. And it really shows how, you know, it's a little bit more drill than what Joby's been doing for the team so far with FlyQuest. With that month that, you know, Bala has talked about, the amount of practice you put into this as well, and see what you come out with. And so far, it's just a great way to play some basic split that works in their favor. I mean, these guys are going to get demolished right now and trying to get into this A site with this trap kills that's coming out from Starbound.
Enemy remaining.
Starbound can't be stopped. 4th kill. The ace, maybe? Sekia in trouble. Oh, the iBuyPower ace goes to FlyQuest.
Okay, so we were worried during kickoff for the VCTs. We were getting worried because there were so many aces, the iBuyPower aces that are coming out, that we were afraid that they were going to run out of PCs by even split 1. That said, now iBuyPower has the partnership also with Game Changers, where you could go into their socials at iBuyPower and then also have a chance to win a PC. So they got more to give away during the Game Changers as well, so make sure you check that out. But I love that we ran through the cages just to bait out, to allow Starbound to provide you all in chat a possibility of winning a PC.
There.
I need to check that PC on Starbound after that. Jeez, it's FlyQuest just swinging at these perfect moments. YFP used all the util, the flashes. But then that wall from the Viper really slowed things down, and when YFP's information is cut off by smokes, they really have issues to know where to look out, but that's great entry from Kazler. Now ramps have been clear. YFP had issues clearing ramps before. They failed at this in a previous A take. Now the sense of urgency isn't there. Spike is also just mid, and look who's patrolling mid! Spike is down, they know this, they have eyes on it. FlyQuest. Oh, the pit. This is not good for YFP.
There, yeah. At least they got the ult, so they picked that up, and I love the change of pace that came out from FlyQuest. Push down towards the middle, drop the spike, but now the map's been flipped where Raven can line up these kills.
Now, YFP talked about Raven being one of the most mechanically gifted players on that team, and showing up to try and even up those numbers. YFP, plant down, being able to just recover the spike in that moment.
Huge.
Miraculous, yeah. Now FlyQuest, back of the side, the headshot, one of them is lined up, but the trade in place for FlyQuest. It is all up to Lace. The desk talked about the experience that she has, how she can stay calm in moments like this. We have Caroso in heaven, and that's all it takes. Great crossfire out of YFP.
that probably was one slight mistake under the pressure of like, okay, we lost a player for FlyQuest. I love that they work, again, a buddy system to work somewhere else around the map. Some fundamentals of tactical FPS, if you don't have abilities, if you lose one player and you're at a disadvantage, you have to try to find information elsewhere. And they do it as a group to actually drop the spike. And in the excitement of getting that pit down, they totally forgot that Kazler still had that ult to work with, which then allowed YFP to even set up before the plant went down. And that's why Raven, that pesky wall that you have on that on their A ramp, to be able to lurk the way that they do, that's going to cause heavy problems on the rotation for FlyQuest. So beautifully done so far. I mean, this is a lot better than what I've seen versus Passion Project for YFP when they're actually playing in the qualifiers. So I'm loving this so far. I don't think the scoreboard really gives them justice on how well they're currently playing the map when it comes down to these, last kills in order for FlyQuest to win. So that said, YFP working back towards the mid side. You see a little bit of noise being made on the extremity as well. Raven's already jump crossing over, just going toe-to-toe against Starbound just to keep the Sentinel at bay on that A site. Well, it's going to be the same thing pretty much. The dog, the flashes are going to try to come up, and it's going to be a battle of attrition towards mid.
Oh, the dog is out, and there is YFP trying to take control of mid, but she just can't stop Donut. Multi-kills on multiple occasions. The spike is left mid, and this is going to be difficult to recover. You don't have the Sky Flash to worry about if you're Raven, who's now last remaining, as Grosso wasn't able to get through B to maybe set up a pinch play. Now Raven, just seeing what you can get. You line up on vents, see if someone will swing at a ramp, and just bad timing as FlyQuest up 7-2.
I like to say this is probably the third time that we're seeing YFP getting caught off from somebody swinging out on a backstab. Either that's going to be coming from vents or that's going to be coming from male. It's been the detriment of YFP trying to take control of the top mid. Look at that. Everybody's focusing on shooting the dog, and then the first swing on top of the B heaven side, and that's 3 players, and then they forget Donut inside vents, and she comes out easy first and second kill, and that allows for them to just get a really strong, a tough stronghold on the top of mid side. And YFP, they need to start putting maybe one member off the default that they do on the top middle to really try to go toe-to-toe now against Donut on top of that on the top mid. So they're doing good, at least providing like and holding back Starbound on that A side on that one-on-one against Raven. But that mid take, that's the crucial, the biggest choke point that you want here on Split to take control of on the attack. They need to add a little bit more.
A dog out, and look at this aggressive push now out of YFP. Now that Omen smoke is out of the way, starting to show themselves more. Thea's gonna swing and maybe get a lot of attention. Now smoke back in place, and maybe that window of opportunity gone from YFP, but playing silent. See that FlyQuest will not be flustered. They know there's a Viper wall over at A, but YFP have either used that or not used that. Hasn't been a big deal.
Sorry, I was just looking at the little radar, and I saw a flash come out from Saunders trying to get info towards A. Misses it, but here's the execution towards B.
That timing of the paranoia. Neko was just blinded as soon as they came in. That is unlucky. Now the cage, but that allows YFP to try and cross. You know where they is. You gotta have that ready.
Ooh.
And Spike is down. This defense so beautifully held by Thea. Sometimes by herself. And now with the recruitment of FlyQuest, the lead continues.
Yeah, you called it perfectly there, Lemon Q, in terms of that paranoia that was thrown out. Because at that point, they just tried to go for a timing execution for YFP. Hey, let's just try to get that satchel out. They had a cage to cross on top of that to allow for them to cross, even a smoke from Omen on the top of B. So that would have been a great way to actually pressure towards the back of the billboard and pick up that kill against Thea and maybe upgrade some weapons that they had as they had the lower buy. But that timing on that paranoia was everything to allow just, once again, FlyQuest to get better positioning on YFP's hits. But at least they're trying to go something fast this time around, but they have a team flash. Couldn't get the pick off, couldn't get the surprise attack, but at least Caruso gets a pick on the B side push from Thea. Gets that punishment, gets the hat out. They get information that B side is open, being played passively on the top of the B side. Smoke should be coming out. Oh, actually, there's none left for Kastler. Oh, yeah, there we go. Just threw it up. Caruso
nice. Nice hit by Kurosu, and playing off of that ult, just having the lineups there, but mechanically Lace is a different beast. Spike left at B. All you have left if you're YFP is that lurker of Raven coming through the back. You haven't seen her in a while, or you haven't seen them in a while, so FlyQuest have to know this could be a backside threat. Now their location's revealed, so that's
easy.
Little BM and easy.
Yeah, want to confirm the rounds. I mean, it's well done. At that point, the saving grace that you have in the next round for YFP is that you lost a lot of players in this process right now, but you had a lot of your teammates that are actually very close to ults. I'm pretty sure Neko has that showstopper ready now. So if you still have a max bonus of 2,900 at this point, you could hopefully work something with that showstopper to create space. I mean, they have 3 really good ults to work the site with, but unfortunately on the other end, FlyQuest have pretty much the same thing for a retake capability and opportunity as well. So that's unfortunate. But YFP, hopefully that means they're going to have to try to get maybe a little bit of those kills faster. But you can definitely see them all grouped up towards the A side where it's not going to be a default. They're not going to try to waste out that utility. They're just going to try to use those ults.
You dodged the op there. Heard that. Now Showstopper up and ramps. Last time YFP went this route, they got aced by Starbound, but it's already a different script. As Starbound being pushed back, using the cage. Now has the Omen by their side. FlyQuest rotating at A. They're all set up. YFP crossing through the smokes. Now having control of Heaven, but Spike is left, and the person trying to pick it up is down 2. 2 kills for Sonder. A good setup for FlyQuest. YFP not able to recover this spike whatsoever. It has been chaos for YFP to get established whatsoever.
Yeah, that's where, unfortunately, those are some of the mistakes that I saw from YFP's game against Patron Project before, where they have a great plan, as Mimi was talking about, on the desk of what they want to do. Look at them, great control towards the A heavens, but instead of really trying to cut noise or trying to reset and trying to catch your opponent off guard, they're kind of going like a PRX, like stop and go again with no information, but losing a little bit of that firepower, thinning where they're trying to hit the sites. And then you even have players running out with the spike alone with no possibilities to trade. And those type of fundamentals were missing in that game and really prominent in that last round. So that allows here FlyQuest to get a very, very strong first half on the defense. The attack, with the way that they default, they could really work around this map. I mean, 2 ghosts, lots of utility being used or purchased here for FlyQuest. I have a feeling it's going to be a default and just try to work the map very slowly against maybe any type of crunch that YFP may have on their end. It's more of a crossfire setup that they have lots of ghosts to just try to work behind Sekia's flashes on the top of mail, or top of the event, sorry.
And Dog and Boombot out. Got some intel on someone at vents. Good flash from YFP to just slow down mid. Have some extra bodies, some extra eyes looking at how FlyQuest are going to approach mid. Now waiting for some utility. Got some lurking over at B, and what a shot from Kazler. And Starbound is dead for the moment, but FlyQuest decide to head over at A instead of committing over at Heaven.
Yeah.
Who is awaiting them is Kazler right on the other side, and there's no escaping this situation. But Kazler, if they can just get one, this would be the ideal, and no. And now FlyQuest, with the space, should try to get into A ASAP.
And Sonner's still alive too, so they could definitely come out for the heal, putting Donono up at the same time. So yes, you mentioned it should have been a good pick by Kazler. That could have changed potentially the round over for YFP, because Starbound thought that they had a timing on that A site and instantly got picked off. But look at this triple push towards spawn. Well done by FlyQuest, but you have a triple flank coming out from A main.
Oh, FlyQuest are just all stacked together. It's hard to tear them apart. At least Spike is down, and YFP in a 3 versus 3. Flashing around, not getting much. Thea versus Neko. Satchel to push them out of position. Raven with a pick, defuse, halfway done. Now stopped at that moment. Raven can't keep up, and FlyQuest take the round.
It had to keep a player up there towards that A ramp. It almost looked like it was very doable there for YFP, because they did a perfect way maneuver to pinch back on the top of the A ramp and actually keep FlyQuest at bay, where you can't take control of A heaven, so they can't even play the post plant. And then when you had that player inside the site, and they kept him towards elbowing screens, it almost felt like it was going to be a stick defuse that was going to be easy for YFP towards the end. But actually, all of them dropping into sight just allowed Dodonut to get some easy picks there. So unfortunate on that call. They're trying to make a play this round early. Kazler, I mean, with the rest of the team, they're forced to buy. So Stingers, Spectres, Ghosts, Sheriff, everything on the line here for this first map, and Kazler's already down at 10 HP.
And this guy's on the other side of the map. Ain't gonna get that healing anytime soon.
Oh,
but,
no. Yep, not anytime soon.
FlyQuest know that the damage has been done. You look to see if they're still on site. Obviously not with being that low, so this should be a free plant. But how do you assess Heaven? You got the smoke to allow you to maybe climb up ropes if you're feeling it. Thea is up there. The crossfire is set up by FlyQuest, and off of some lucky early damage on the Kazler, who is going to get those heals from that sky. Now, YFP approaching from the backside, 2 over in Heaven. Neko needs to have a big win here on this duelist and gets the pick on the Dodo Nuts. But the rifle's at range. It's tough for YFP to deal with that. And Raven keeps up the numbers, 2 versus 2. An unlucky reload, but Lace gets to cover, and Kazler finishes off what they started. YFP cannot let this go by, and Kazler against Starbound. The defuse almost done, and YFP stay alive.
Yeah, the little short thing where you turn it inside, I think, on that plant. Maybe that's why Sekia had a easier defuse going for them, but that looked very dangerous for FlyQuest, as it seems as though they had the perfect position. You saw that paranoia that came through, and that's what we're talking about. Players to stay on the top, being like basically on top of a watchtower to look at their teammates and try to cover them out. And it works out for this defuse, but it's a round that they only kept 1 player alive for YFP. Thankfully, it's a broken economy for FlyQuest. They do have a hero Bulldog to work with for Starbound. And I'm never going to discount Lace with a Sheriff, who's currently trying to still work that lurk on that B side and contain Kazler towards B. More pressure up on top of Vents.
Jumping around, see what she can get. And YFP is the firing squad down mid, not giving FlyQuest an inch. Some damage being done, of course. Neko and Sekia half health. We'll see Starbound and Lace, especially Lace, to be able to pick up a weapon, but Spike is down, and you know YFP are feeling comfortable in this situation.
And Boobot saw her too.
Toxin screen down.
Lace, how do you even approach this? Like, there's not too many other angles you could take. They've discovered you. You go up ropes to B, and that's not a safe spot to be in. So, yeah, Lace is really stuck. But maybe if you catch YFP being greedy, you can set up a crossfire, and Starbound will get one, and Lace with the other. So you weaken YFP, but not enough.
And that's why they were trying to do the push and pull on one end. Winning that single duel would have given opportunity for Lace to move back out and get another pick. So they've done some good damage there. Playing the long run pretty much at this point for FlyQuest, as they wanted to keep their economy in check to have a very strong buy this time around. And YFP, despite seeing these rounds that you keep seeing, the more you're getting damaged here, the more their buys are going to look really crappy, even if they're winning rounds. But things are contained for FlyQuest. They're looking for the mid control to start things off. There's only 1 player holding towards YFP, so are we trying to do something a little bit more aggressive here? Maybe Neko trying to farm the orbs as well, trying to keep that calm, and just leave Viper delaying on that middle to start. Just waiting for somebody to make the first move. It seems to be Raven repositioning back on the left side of Vents. FlyQuest are just trying to find the late information. Dog still around, all grouped up towards B. Might spot the last 2 players pushing forward now from YFP on B because of that. Yep.
Ooh. Cheeky push-up by Kazler looking for that orb, and this will open up B. You already see Neko heading to backside, but already there is Sekia, who rotated from Vents to support Raven in the mid-control. On the other side is Raven lined up. The cross. Sonder gets taken out.
Down B.
You know, YFP are backing each other up. They're ready to set up trades. Those improvements are in place. But you forgot about Thea, who was able to recover the spike. And now you can ditch B not have that pressure on you. But do you go mid? Is this the quickest route? Do you want to take
Noise.
a safer route through A?
Rehitting.
The defense is coming up around the corner, and a big win for FlyQuest.
What a round and what a call by Thea to cut Noise and walk back towards B main, knowing that YFP was going to push back out towards that area. At least gambling that the push was going to come out towards the garage, and it paid dividends. I got to say, though, the extra inch that Castler came out pushing towards the B garage was really their demise at that point, because they had perfect control of the map. FlyQuest didn't have anything yet. They haven't used even their utility to know, like the Sky Dog at the 1 minute mark, to really know where the hit's really coming from, where the pressure is coming from at that 1 minute mark. They didn't want to go for the body check. That punishes them right away. And we talked about that situation. The more that FlyQuest is able to damage that economy for a YFP, now they're at map point, and look at the money that YFP has. So you have to gamble an early pit and hoping that the rest just hits.
A Seeker will reveal some heaven presence, and of course, when you feel safe when there's the pit there. But this defense held up. The Seekers, not enough bait. But hey, Sonder gets the plant down. Showstopper blind, doesn't connect on any targets. And now you got an offensive pit from FlyQuest. This is for the map. And now the blinds from YFP on this defense. Hasler doing their best. Neko with a big pick onto Thea. YFP doing everything they can with the 5 versus 3. Kurosu with 2. And this is as back and forth as they get. They all corral. And Lace holds her own on the right for the ace. No, that's denied. And Lace will get the defuse. Or Ezekiel will get the defuse.
Dude, how? I was just going to mention how Kurosu played that round to perfection to actually keep FlyQuest at bay. Even Raven getting those snake bites towards the pillar and towards B main allowed for them to rotate and really flood the site and take down FlyQuest on that post plant in their positions. And suddenly Lace at 4 HP pulls out this. Yes, the third kill was lucky, but for that fourth kill to happen, it shouldn't have. That was such a nice try by Lace at 22, 11, and 10. You mentioned Lace. That, you know, she could definitely pop off in these moments, and she definitely did. And you're in that same scenario. Keep that economy low for YFP, despite yours is on an eco for FlyQuest. But now not only are you going through economy, you're also getting very close to ult economy. FlyQuest adding a lot of pressure towards this A side, controlling the ramp first. We'll see if we pivot back to try to get an orb here for Dodo Nut. But instead, it's the lineup instead. They'll get the trade-off onto Sekia. And Saunders going to pick up the orb instead.
Just taking a second to relax if you're FlyQuest, and kind of a forward lurk there from Lace. Some damage exchanged, and at least knowing there's still someone in heaven. But is this a weakened site over at B? FlyQuest are just so far pushed up at A. They're going to have to keep going. But Kazler with the rifle will already slow down this push from FlyQuest. Still aiming for A, and this summons the rotations out of YFP, especially with that spike down.
Especially with the spike down, but you definitely saw there from YFP when Sekia falls and you're trying to find information. The only other piece of active information that you have is the camera towards B, and it sees nobody. So you're trying to figure out around the map when you had the contact against Lace on Mail, and they almost got caught off guard. I mean, that had to be a big win coming out from Kazler to drop that spike. If not, that site was open for FlyQuest to plant. So well done in the end, keeping the anchors cool, calm, and collected in those areas, and having the rotators work them in. Somehow, Starbound got behind.
Starbound through Heaven, but wasn't with Lace, who was still trying to hold on to Heaven. And now that Starbound's location is revealed, YFP crunched down. And this is a momentum defense from YFP to try and close the gap on the score. But the pressure is always on you when it's match point for FlyQuest.
Match point for FlyQuest. They're one away from that showstopper that we just mentioned in that previous round. So is the objective to move towards that area? Potentially, but the last time they did this, as they're moving back towards that A ramp, is to still get those satchels up. They're calling for an audible just to make sure to watch out towards the left side, but it might be the good old classic of just satcheling and getting early control of ramp.
Okay, early flash, paint shell, smoke in Heaven. This is a fast entry from FlyQuest. Eyes has to be on Heaven. as YFP trying to feel comfortable, but maybe going to the backside.
Nice.
But this is going to be a free plant for FlyQuest. Time not on YFP's side.
He gave it
This
to
is
Donut.
for the map, and FlyQuest are extending past the site. So it'll be up to Kazler to get a big win, but decides to teleport out, hearing that showstopper out of Dodonut. That is a threat that you do not want to go for.
No.
And it still connects on the Kazler. Meanwhile, YFP have taken high ground. They tried to go into sight, and YFP is not getting lucky with this whatsoever.
Attackers win.
And FlyQuest will take split.
Unfortunate there. Another one of those moments where that extra step costs them big there for YFP. The showstopper never came out. She was getting hit by Seekers on top of that. They had perfect utility to stop her from that showstopper being used. But unfortunately, when it comes down to those slight mistakes, those small mistakes, FlyQuest are really good at capitalizing on those and getting a one-sided victory here.
It was nice to see YFP try to generate some momentum, lead with more confidence as the rounds went on to try and satchel in, use the flashes. And I know with all the smokes, it can be very hard to maneuver around the map and be quick because you never know when FlyQuest is just going to swing out of a smoke. But hey, you made FlyQuest look beatable, but at the end of the day, experience triumphs in the end.
Definitely.
So, we are going to have another map very, very soon. But before that, we're going to see you on the other side of the break.